Now, joining us on the program right now, very pleased to have with us Arizona State Senator Ron Gould. And Senator Gould, thank you so much for coming on the program tonight.
Well, thanks for having me on, Cam.
It's my pleasure. And it sounds like next year in Arizona, it's going to be a very big and busy legislative session. You all have been really out in front on Second Amendment issues over the past couple of years with restaurant carry and constitutional carry. And now in 2011, it looks like campus carry is going to be front and center.
Yeah, we tried to do this a couple of years ago after the Virginia Tech shooting. We want to let college and university staff be able to, if they have a concealed carry permit, to actually carry concealed on these campuses. Because, as you know, when you create what they think is a gun-free zone, all you really do is create a self-defense-free zone where law-abiding citizens can't protect themselves from evildoers.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's look at some of the criticisms of this law here. Let's see. The president of Mojave Community College, Michael Kearns, opposes these two pieces of legislation: Senate Bill or House Bill 2001, House Bill 2014. He says guns will create more problems on college campuses, and that these proposed laws will not stop a gunman from going to a campus to shoot people. He says the gunman's actions are based on short-lived emotions and not logic. That person will not know or care if others are carrying guns.
Yeah, I agree with President Kearns on that, and that's why we need law-abiding citizens to carry their own concealed weapons on those college campuses so that they can defend themselves against deranged shooters. I agree those people are deranged. That's why they're doing that. But the law-abiding need to be able to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
Because all you do is disarm the law-abiding with these gun bans.
You're absolutely right. And it's not like I have not heard anybody actually propose these legislation and then say, well, once we have these laws in place, this will tell these crazy killers not to come on campus. No, it gives the good people a chance to defend themselves against these crazy killers.
And we in Arizona understand that, and that's why we let any law-abiding citizen over the age of 21 carry a concealed weapon without any kind of a permit.
Yeah.
Because it's his God-given right to defend himself and to defend others around him, and that includes college campuses.
All right. He goes on to say the odds of a trained, and this will make students feel a lot safer, I'm sure. He says the odds of a trained security officer hitting a target at 15 feet are minimal at best. So an untrained person with a gun will be even lower, possibly hitting innocent victims.
Yeah, I think he's a little misinformed on that. If you do have a concealed carry permit in Arizona, you need to be able to hit essentially a paper plate-sized target from 10 feet away. It's not a real high marksmanship standard, but it does show that you can hit something from 10 feet away.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. His concerns are ridiculous in that respect, just because the evildoer, the criminal knows in Arizona they don't know who's carrying a gun, so they won't be attracted to college campuses anymore, knowing that that's a self-defense free zone. One of our Senate pages was actually murdered on the campus of Arizona State University. They gunned him down. Two criminals did to steal his laptop computer.
Really?
To me, that doesn't sound like a very safe situation when only criminals are armed and the law-abiding are disarmed.
Absolutely. Well, and this is his last stated objection anyway, says that if several people are carrying guns during a shooting incident, police officers arriving at the college may not know who the shooter is and who an innocent person with a gun is. So I suppose what he is saying is that it's better to be an unarmed victim than run the risk of the police mistaking you for a bad guy.
And I don't really think that's going to happen because in testimony the last time we ran a similar bill, the campus police at Arizona State University said that it would take them 30 minutes to actually enter the building if a shooting had occurred because their rules require that they had 5 officers to enter that kind of a situation, and they only have 3 on duty at any given time. So they have to call 2 people in to actually enter that. By that time, it's over. The shooter's already. If you get in a gunfight with somebody, you're probably going to go ahead and lay your gun down and wait for the police to arrive.
So they admitted that it would take a half hour to have a response?
They sure did.
My goodness.
So essentially, by that time, the mass murder's already occurred. The gunman's probably taken his own life, and the law enforcement didn't do a darn thing. And bear in mind, this is a gun-free zone.
Yeah.
So you've disarmed the law-abiding. They can't fight back. You know, if you look at Virginia Tech, they finally, I believe they tried to subdue the person eventually. But, you know, essentially everybody's trying to get out of the building or hide because they have no way to defend themselves.
Right.
We've disarmed the law-abiding and empowered criminals and lunatics, essentially.
You know, and we've been talking about an active shooter situation, but more common on college campuses are sadly, what you described happened to that page in the Senate, becoming the victim of a random a robbery attempt, a random violent crime. And we see this happen on college campuses across the country every day.
Sure, and they're not safe. Just because you have a large amount of people, the criminals know that there's a large amount of people that are there that can't defend themselves. And just, you know, essentially it's like a crime magnet. You see rapes and muggings on college campuses. And it's just ridiculous, especially in Arizona where, as I said earlier, that we allow the law-abiding to carry concealed weapons without a permit, that we've created essentially the only gun-free zone in the state is in these college campuses and universities. And these are all adults. Most of the people that are attending, that are students, they're adults. You know, we're not talking about a grade school situation,
right?
You know, where you would have minors. Not that I'm particularly. I think that teachers ought to be able to carry in K-12 schools also, but that's not what this bill addresses.
Yeah,
this college campuses. These are all adults.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and I just did a quick internet search, and just over the past couple of days, here are some of the stories. Teens arrested for a pair of street robberies near the University of Cincinnati campus. Armed robbery suspect to stand trial in the armed robbery of two students on Western Michigan University's campus. After armed robbery, students' eyes are around Temple, talking about an off-campus robbery of Temple students in Philadelphia. University of Florida Police Department has released a sketch of one of the suspects in the armed robbery on campus in the week of December the 15th. You know, again, these are all over the country just in the past couple of weeks. You can't deny that criminals, if they want an easy victim, they know where to go. And they know that these college campuses and areas right around the college campus are going to be full of unarmed victims.
Sure. And the other thing that you need to think about also is you get a lot of date rape situations on college campuses. Mm-hmm. Those might be prevented by the ability of that female to carry a concealed weapon.
So, what do you think of the prospects for the legislation this year?
Well, I think we'll do pretty good. We now have in the Senate, we have 21 Republicans out of a 30-member Senate, and we have 40 Republicans in a 60-member House. So, provided we can keep our caucus together, we should be able to come up with 16 and 31. And Governor Brewer has signed constitutional carry. So we think we can get a signature out of her if we can get that bill up to her.
I mean, you know, given what you've heard from the president of Mojave Community College, obviously the opponents of this bill are going to try to make these very emotional arguments. And there is going to need, I think, there's a need to educate legislators on the reality here. How concerned are you, I guess, about the emotion taking center stage as opposed to just an actual reasonable and rational debate on this issue?
You know, the best thing we have going is we have quite a few people, Tea Party movement type legislators that were recently elected, mm-hmm. and they understand the Second Amendment and they understand self-defense. And I don't think that they're going to be swayed by the irrational, emotional arguments because they know that the mere presence of a firearm prevents crime.
Yeah.
And if you look at concealed carry, it's the mere thought of the mere presence of a handgun prevents crime.
Well, Senator,
I don't really think they're going to be swayed by the emotional arguments that the opponents of the right to carry your own weapon are going to put forward.
Well, that's very good to hear. And your session gets underway January the 10th, right?
Right.
All right. Well, I look forward to talking to you again in the new year about this issue. And in the meantime, have a happy new year to you, sir. And I'm so glad you could be with us on the program this evening.